Hey everybody, it's the final video for the YouTube weeks of top videos that we've been doing. I had my top crowdfunding games, my top solo games. Jason ranked every game he covered on the channel. And then I don't know if it's aired yet or not, but the podcast should have Peter and my ranking of everything we covered on the podcast this year. But let's get to the biggest one. These are, I think, even better than the solo games, the best games I've covered this year. The top 20 games for cooperative play. And to be clear, I played a ton of these solo and they are awesome, but they have really good cooperative play too. Whereas the couple of cooperative games that made it on the top solo list, I think they're better for solo play, honestly. But these ones rock your socks off either way. And if these top lists aren't enough for you, I did do a top 10 disappointing games for 2023 over on the Patreon if you want to hear a little negativity. But let's get to my top 20 cooperative games of 2023. So at number 20, we've got the Lord of the Rings adventure book game. This is a fun, quick, family weight one, and it has a bunch of scenarios following the core developments of the trilogy of books. Again, it's very family friendly, but a little bit of some complication to keep you interested even when you're playing it with more gamerly gamers. It's fun for solo, although definitely the best way to play is cooperative because the solo mode can get a little wonky sometimes with like keeping the ring cards out of people's hands. But yes, I think this one is great. If you like the Lord of the Rings theme and you want something simpler than all the other Lord of the Rings cooperative games out there, this is a great one to check out. My number 20, the Lord of the Rings adventure book game. Next at number 19, I've got Intrepid. This is where you're trying to save a space station cooperatively from destruction. It's got tile building and upgrading. It's got dice placement. And the dice placement is tons of fun, lots of variety in the different factions you can play, especially if you get the expansion. I do think the expansion is pretty much required for this one to have the best time. Tons of cooperation in creating the resources you need, like no one faction can do everything by themselves. I think this is just a really, really fun one if you like dice placement. Again, get the expansion for the full experience, but Intrepid is worth checking out. That's my number 19. Then at number 18, I've got City of the Great Machine. This one's really good competitively. It's really good solo, but cooperative is my favorite way to play. You're trying to move around the town, dodging the denizens of this evil AI overlord, trying to rally the people to your cause. It's got an interesting movement puzzle. It's got a lot of great variety in characters and enemies, tons of modules if you get the expansion and stuff that you can like add in or take out. Again, good for solo, good for co-op. That is my number 18, City of the Great Machine. Next, my number 17 is one that I only covered in a compilation video, but it was my number 1 of that video, and that is Noobs in Space. This is kind of like a cooperative riddle game with people communicating about cards in their hand but not showing them. It's goofy fun. It has 8 scenarios. It's very cheap. It's quick to play. And unlike a lot of these sort of escape room-ish puzzly games, it actually has really good variety because it's so impossible to remember all the stuff you did for each scenario anyway, so I've played it again and had no trouble. So yeah, good one for families or gamers looking for a light, quick time. That is Noobs in Space, my number 17. Then at number 16, I've got Deep Rock Galactic. This is a great beer and pretzels, tactical, skirmish, dungeon crawly kind of game where you're taking these dwarves into deep places and try to dig up gems and such. It's a ton of fun. Yes, it's very random. Yes, the scenarios get pretty repetitive. Yes, I was going to buy the expansions and then they made them cost $1 billion and I did not want to buy them anymore. But all that put aside, it's a great, fun game. And especially cool is the variety in the classes, the cooperative ways you can help each other out, picking each other up, defending each other from enemies. Just a really, again, fun beer and pretzels level game. That is Deep Rock Galactic, my number 16. Next at number 15, I've got Maximum Apocalypse, focusing on the Wasted Wiles set that came out, although they've redone all the sets now. And man, this is a game that has improved so much with the changes they made over the years. I think it is just a vastly better and more balanced experience, but it still has all the fun stuff. Tons of variety in the apocalypses you can go against and the scenarios you can face off in. Tons of variety in the characters you can play. Lots of tension as you explore and try to find the things you need while facing off enemies. Cool card play, combos, and ways to cooperate together. I like this one a bunch. Once you dig into the other sets soon, that is Maximum Apocalypse, my number 15. And coming in at number 14 is Astro Knights. This is the sort of reskin of Aeon's End, the cooperative deck building game, but this time with a sci-fi theme. And this one, it was already pretty good with the base set, and then what's coming in Eternity that I previewed is going to be even better. It's got the expedition mode from Aeon's End, and just lots of interesting choices. And yes, this one has totally replaced Aeon's End, for my taste at least. It's sometimes a little bit less strategic, but it's quicker to set up, it's quicker to play, it's quicker to tear down. I kind of like the sci-fi theme better personally. But in any case, if you like cooperative deck builders, this is definitely one to check out. That's number 14, Astro Knights. Then for something a lot smaller, a lot simpler, my number 13 is Skoen Tier. This is a sort of hand management game where you're using these cards and trying to build combos, but also discarding them for special effects. But if you discard them, then they're out of the deck, and it's going to be tougher for you to get the combos you need to win. And then you got God in the form of a badger being chased by this red devil dude. You know, who doesn't like that? Just a lot of fun stuff going on in here. It takes some of the best stuff from the other Impatience, Oniverse kind of games, but ramps it up for cooperative play especially. This is a great one, especially I would say for 2 and 3 player play. Really interesting how you have to kind of coordinate your card plays and things. And then we've got some adorableness at my number 12. This is Keep the Heroes Out, another cooperative deck builder, although deck building is not the focus here. You are trying to use adorable little enemy factions, monster factions, to drive off heroes trying to break into your dungeon. And it's got great variety in the factions, great variety in the scenarios, just a ton of fun to play. My family really loves this one. Now, I will say, if the expansion was out already, and if I was reviewing it with the expansion that was crowdfunded recently, and if all the things they say they're changing work out, this might be easily in my top 5 of the year. Because I already like it a lot, but it's a little wonky sometimes with like the difficulty balancing and the deck building and such. It sounds like the expansion fixes all of that in spades. We'll find that out later, but for now, Keep the Heroes Out is sticking at my number 12. And then at my number 11, I've got Perdition's Mouth, Beyond the Rift, the card game version of the dungeon crawler. And yeah, this one just barely didn't make it into the top 10, but it's an awesome, awesome game for those looking for a fun campaign-based adventure. It's got some of that awesome card play choices, like that you might see in Arkham Horror or something. Really great cooperation. This is a fun solo game, but man, when you get 2 or more people in there and you have different classes helping each other out and boosting each other's stats and stuff with this really cool combat and skill resolution system with card play, I just think it's a blast. I like the way you level up by changing out cards in your deck, and everything is like really thematic. The scenarios are quite varied. The rules need a little bit of clarification sometimes. That might have been what kept it out of my top 10, but it's still an awesome game to check out. That is Beyond the Rift, or Perdition's Mouth, or whatever the full name is, my number 11. Next at number 10 is Skytear Horde, and I honestly struggled with where to put this one because this is a really good solo game, but it's also a great 2-player game. And Ashes Reborn, if you saw my top 20 solo list last week, might have made it in there, not to spoil anything. When that's also a 2-player cooperative game, but whereas that one feels like the solo should stay solo, this one is great for 2-player because you're working together in a very limited set of spaces to put your cards out there, and the factions have really fun symmetries with how they boost each other in the combat. This is cooperative Magic the Gathering the way I would want it to be, mixed with kind of some lane defense and stuff. Just a blast to play. The one thing holding it back is not a ton of deck construction and like card variety yet, but I think Monoliths, or whatever the expansion was called, should be delivering very early this coming year, and with that, I think this game will jump into the stratosphere. But for now, it's my number 10 cooperative game, Skytear Horde. Then at number 9, we're going into the mansion again to die from zombies. It's Resident Evil 1, and yes, I'm a sucker for this IP. Yes, I love pretty much all things Resident Evil. But I was a fan of this system in Resident Evil 3. I think it's perfected in Resident Evil 1. I love the exploration. I love how they brought the theme to life. And this is a great one for cooperative play, especially 2-player, I would say. It's actually more tense with more players than it is solo because you're having to activate enemies like together sometimes, and things kind of get more hairy, and you have to like really carefully be careful which rooms you're in because you're gonna like make a zombie eat your buddy's face. It's just a blast. This one is great if you like adventures, if you like campaigns, if you like Resident Evil, of course. It is Resident Evil 1, my number 9. Next at number 8 is Valor and Villainy Ludwig's Labyrinth, a cooperative dungeon crawler. This one is a blast. You are going through 8 main scenarios, but a ton of side scenarios. You're exploring the dungeon in a really fun way where you kind of build it out yourself. There's a lot of cool characters, a lot of fun card play, especially cooperative card play, boosting each other. Now, this one was actually in my top 3 for quite a while, but I beat the entire campaign and didn't feel much need to keep it around and play it again after that, which is, fine. There's still a ton of game in there, even if you just play through the whole campaign like I did. I didn't love the boss battles. It did feel like it had kind of a bit of a rinse-repeat structure to it, but it is just so much fun. Kind of like Deep Rock Galactic for a beer and pretzel is like level up your characters, do cool things, roll dice, fight things, have fun. It's a great time. That is Valor and Villainy, Ludwig's Labyrinth, my number 8. Then getting to my number 7, man, this one came out of nowhere right near the end of the year. This is Kinfire Delve, a currently 1 to 2 player card-based dungeon delving game, but when the next set comes out early next year, it'll be 3 to 4 players. And I did get to play a higher player count game at PAX Unplugged, where they had more of the characters there, and it's great at all the player counts I've played. It is tough, it is exciting, it has great card play, great variety in characters, awesome art, awesome components for a very inexpensive game, and I just love those things where it's cheap but great. It reminds me a ton of 20 Strong, which might have been high up in my top solo video if you didn't watch that yet, but it's definitely doing its own thing, and this one is awesome for cooperative play. Solo is good. Solo is good. I like this one solo, but it shines in co-op where you're talking to each other, figuring out who's going to take on which challenges, using your cards that are such a precious resource to fight against the enemies. I have a blast with this one. Yes, it's swingy. Yes, it can be random. Yes, I want the other sets to be out so I have more content, but it's great as it is. That is Kinfire Delve, my number 7. Then coming in at number 6 is an awesome one that I think is going to fly over under a ton of people's radar, and that is Genshin Tarot, the Genshin Impact deck building game, or fan deck building game. And this one is the kind of deck builder I tend to like. It reminds me a lot of Battle for Greyport, where you have really cool combos in your cards, but really awesome tactical choices of fighting enemies. This one is a huge challenge, and they have more content planned. I'm so excited for that. Already there's a lot of variety in what there is to offer, tons of different characters. And there's another one that's really good solo, but even better co-op, especially when you have a lot of those abilities that let you help each other out, fight each other's enemies. It's just a great, great time. Great art on the cards. I don't know. It was so fun. It got me to play Genshin Impact for 5 minutes, and I was like, what the heck am I doing? And I turned off Genshin Impact and went back to Genshin Tarot. But just a lot of fun for deck building lovers or for just tactical play lovers. That is Genshin Tarot, my number 6. And then we get to the top 5, and oh my gosh, these games are so good. Like I said, my top solo list is good this year. These games are crazy good, for solo or for co-op. And we're starting with Earthborn Rangers. And you didn't hear much from me about this one because Jason really wanted to do both the playthrough and the review, but I wasn't going to let this game get away. I played a ton of it too, and it is the real deal, people. If you love the kind of card play and Arkham Horror, the card game, if you like really interesting open world exploration and narrative building, a living world you're interacting with, this is the game for you. Now, it is open world. It can get a little grindy trying to get from place to place. That's the only reason it's not in my top 3. But besides that, this one just has so much to offer, and it's peaceful. It's calm compared to a lot of these other games, although there is still some pressure and there is still a major narrative you got to beat. I hope they keep expanding this game. This one is a blast to play, and yeah, I can't wait to see more of it. That is Earthborn Rangers, my number 5. And then, man, talk about a 1-2 punch of narrative awesomeness. My number 4 is Sleeping God's Distant Skies, which is a really late one out of the gate. I barely got this one in time to play it enough to put it on the list. Earthborn Rangers and this one were neck and neck, and they're both amazing. The only reason that Sleeping God slightly beat it out is that whereas Earthborn Rangers does have some grind when you're traveling sometimes, Sleeping God's Distant Skies gave you a plane. Fast travel, baby. But both are amazing. Get Earthborn Rangers if you want more of the card play nuance. Get Sleeping Gods if you really want to focus on great narrative passages and stories and exploration. I'm having a blast with both of these. I want more content. I want to play both of them for a while. That is my number 4 of 2023, Sleeping Gods Distant Skies. Such an improvement, by the way, over the original, which was already a great game. This one is way better. Check my review for why, but that's my number 4. And then for my number 3, we've got The Light in the Mist. Go and play this. Go and get this if you like puzzle games, if you like narrative games, if you like riddles. It is so great, such an amazing value for the price you pay. And to just show you how good this is my number 3, right? This was the last video I did in 2022. It was immediately after my top of the year videos for 2022. But so that's why I counted it in this year's videos. And it stood the test of time, right? This game was the earliest game that could have been on this list, and it's still my number 3 because it is that good. The Light in the Mist, my number 3, amazing. What's even slightly more amazing than that, a game I expect to be playing 2-player for years and years to come, that's Sky Team, people. If you haven't checked this one out yet, you owe yourself to do so. I don't even know if it's available, but you got to find it. This is a 2-player only, although there is a really good solo variant on BGG that's super easy to do, but 2 players is the way. Limited communication, dice placement, land a plane through all these crazy airports with all these crazy modules. It's quick. It's quick to set up. It's quick to play. It's fun. It's engaging. It's varied. I just love it. It is so much of a joy to play this game with my wife, with my kids, solo, whatever. I don't care. Give me more Sky Team. It's a blast. That is my number 2 of the year. So what could my number 1 be? I don't think this one's going to surprise too many people. I raved about this one when I first played it and reviewed it, and I'm continuing to rave. My favorite dungeon crawler in recent memory, easily. And there were a lot of great dungeon crawlers this year. Again, Valor and Villainy, Deep Rock Galactic, just tons of fun dungeon crawling experiences. But this is the one that I played. Now, I said it before, my 8-year-old and my 11-year-old got into dungeon crawlers because of this game, and we still haven't quite finished. We got sidetracked a bit, but we're 18 out of 25 scenarios in. But yeah, you can't discount the fact that that is just amazing for me and makes this game so much higher in my estimation. But it's a fun story. It's got amazingly varied combats in the scenarios. The characters are a blast to mix and match. They level up in fun ways. It's easy to swap them out if you're getting bored with one. If you like tactical dungeon crawlers, where the focus is not as much on exploration and the narrative and that kind of thing, but just on great, interesting combat with fun characters, this one is a blast. And I don't think it'll be dethroned until maybe, I don't know, Rove that I played at PAX looks excellent with, again, really fun tactical combat. Oathsworn is not a dungeon crawler, but that's an awesome one. And then maybe Tidal Blades 2. That's going to be a great one when that delivers. I love that one from the early plays. But for now, Tales from the Red Dragon Inn lives in my heart. It is the winner at this moment. It is my number 1 cooperative game of 2023. And really, like I said, the cooperative list is stronger than the solo list for me. This is my number 1 game overall of the year. It is excellent, at least for me and my family. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for an amazing year. That's it. That's the last list, unless the podcast hasn't gone up yet. And then you can check out me and Peter's thoughts on some other games more later on. But we'll see you in 2024. Lots more games coming. I've got a huge pile already that I should be going and playing, but I'm recording this first. So have a great end of the year. Have a great year to come. And we'll see you at the next stop.